A sunny Spa plays host to the GT4 European Series this weekend. Race 2 is about to get underway as the cars make their way up towards the grid. Yesterday's race took us into the darkness and it was a fascinating race full of drama. We expect today's to be the same. I'm tempted to suggest it's not quite as warm a day, but it is still dry, although it is getting ever so slightly more overcast. And all the naysayers have been telling us all weekend that it's going to rain come Saturday. You know, it's going to rain. Well, not yet it hasn't, but we will see. It might just save itself for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. However, we are set to go racing in GT4 European Series. You can see the busy grid, cars still making their way forward into position. And then the race, based on a grid with a separate qualifying session after yesterday, will be good to go. David Addison and GT4 European Series champion Charlie Fagg trackside, and we're looking forward to another really good race here, Charlie, in a very different scenario. You know, it's a bit more overcast, it's a bit cooler, but at least it's daylight all the time, unlike yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Really excited to be here for race 2 of the GT4 European Series. As you mentioned, David, a much different race to yesterday. Obviously, for these guys, they don't get much time to race in the night, so yesterday is a really good chance for those guys to have a feel for it, see what it's like. But this is back to our familiar territory now, starting in the daylight, and we will end so as well. But yeah, an hour of a good race. Hopefully we see some more of what we saw yesterday. Great battles all the way through the pack in typical GT4 fashion. But yeah, 55 cars, 55 drivers about to head into turn 1, handing over to their teammates about halfway through to see how they can get on. We saw the McLaren look like it was very, very fast yesterday. Robert Consonny and the number 3 Audi always looking fast. And again, in this qualifying session, good to see some other cars that we don't always see right at the top as well. Josh Miller did a fantastic qualifying in 3rd. And then what always seems quite the unfortunate number 77 Tom Emson car in P4 as well. So I think we've got some really, really fast guys at the front here. So we'll be interested to see what happens there and who comes out in the front.
Robert Consonny and Benjamin Larouche unlucky yesterday not to take a win, and they've been unlucky, it seems, all season. They led yesterday, had a really good release from the pits and jumped into the lead, but then Tom Leben was able to fight back, wasn't he, late race, and pulled a really good move to get the lead. Yeah,
it certainly was. It was a fantastic move. Constantly just got the jump on him coming out of the pit exit, did a fantastic job, was probably the move of the race, even though Leben was able to get back past him. But yeah, shows the different strengths, different weaknesses of the cars. We did look like we saw that the Audi had more straight line speed and also could turn their tyres on faster. That means that they can come out the pit lane, even though they're cold, even though there's slightly lower pressure, they can look like they can push harder when that's the case. So be interested to see how they get on at the start. We saw yesterday that Ratican lost the lead again to the Porsche, actually, just into turn 1. So I think if Leben can hold his lead into turn 1, hold his lead into Eau Rouge, as long as he doesn't get mugged at the start or on the Kemmel straight, I think they'll be okay.
One car that's got a possible issue is John Lancaster and Rafa Martinez. McLaren, there's a problem on the pre-grid, if you like, in the assembly area, and they were asking if they can't get it fixed, can we start from the pit lane? But that should, with respect, be at the back of the grid anyway. I think it is there, but it's one just to keep an eye on. It's a bit further back from where the drone is. It's a lovely shot, that, just hovering over the grid, looking at the cars, the personnel, and it gives you an idea of just how busy this place is. This is, you know, a support race, one of many support races, but just look how many cars there are on this grid.
Yeah, it's amazing to see everybody come as well and everybody supporting the drivers and teams. You can see some of the teams have got different tyres onto the grid as they're just starting to wheel off everything now. The boards are coming out now, so everybody has to clear the grid. Now you can only have one mechanic and the driver, so now it's all up to the drivers, and that's all you can do.
Let's just go to the grid. Josh Ratican, winner yesterday, is with Antonio Rankin. Let's hear from our winner of yesterday.
Josh, you came into this weekend leading the championship, and it looks like you're going to leave, leading it even more.
Well, that's all we can hope for, really. I've seen the points, and we are pulling away very slowly. So in this race, it's just a case of trying to preserve that and keep going if we can. So see how it plays out.
It's a lot cooler than it was yesterday. We're under a bit of a cover of cloud. Will that change your car's abilities?
Hopefully not. It's the same temperatures as last night, sort of. Even though it was a night race, one of the coolest things I've ever done. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Okay, well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Interesting thought about the temperatures. You know, it's sort of increasing in the morning. It was decreasing last night, and it's kind of met in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw that the track temp was high 20s. We've got about mid-20s at the moment, and the actual air temp is about 3 degrees higher than it was yesterday. So even though at very, very different times of day, maybe not too different to what the drivers had last night, but it's cool to see that someone like Josh Ratican, who fresh out of juniors, fresh out of Ginetta Racing, done 1 year of GT4 racing and said that was the coolest thing he's ever done.
Yeah. And he drove really well yesterday. He got the fastest lap of the race as well in what was a good drive. There is the car on pole position, not because of its win, but because of a second session time by Tom Levin. But it shows how evenly matched they are, that it can be at the front in both drivers' hands. There's the Audi of Robert Consony just sitting on the outside of the front row. Spa, of course, is a track like so many where the start and finish lines are in different places. For the GT4 purposes, the start line is further up the pit straight here, the timing line opposite the timekeeping room. Of course, for the 24 hours, they're in very different places because you start over on the other side of La Source, going down to Eau Rouge, but you finish here where the timing line has to be. So Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consony, surely that first win of the season can't be that far away.
Yeah, good question. For me, I think they have to do it right at the start. If they want to get by Tom Levin, they have to do it either into turn 1 or coming down the Kemmel straight. That's my feeling, but let's see how they get on.
Well, what about the thoughts of Benjamin Lariche? Let's hear from him. He's with Antonio Rankin.
Ben, it's not the longest run down to turn 1. How do you fancy the chances?
Yeah, we felt good with the car. We have a good setup, but after it's complicated to be faster than the McLaren because she's very fast on the sector 2. So I think we have an opportunity on a lap 1 that after could be difficult to rivalize, I think. But we're here for the championship. We have to score good points. And yes, we'll see. But I think the main opportunity is on the first lap.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
So, yes, echoing what you were saying, Charlie, the opportunity is on that first lap. Let's have a little scroll down the grid. There is the McLaren 812 still with the doors up, suggesting there is still a bit of an issue with that car. And that's a real shame because it hit at Misano for race 2. It didn't get out and it should have been well up on the grid. So real problem, again, it would look for the RAFA Racing Club team. Big shame. Great shot this, isn't it? You float past the Porsche, BMW, Porsche. BMW, we said yesterday, they race better than they qualify the M4s. Toyota Supras are in the mix. Aston Martins are in the mix. What else do we have? Ford Mustang, look to the left. Number 1, which is a team new to this weekend, Team Floral Van Springel with the Ford Mustang. More Porsche Caymans, more Mustangs, more McLarens. Alpine, haven't got there yet, but 36, the Antoine Leclerc, Nelson Panciatici car, and Ginetta in the entry as well. Green flag then shown, and you're on the 4th row of the grid on the drone now as we head down towards La Source. Brilliant shot, as I say, and we'll have more of those during the race, as well as the CrowdStrike 24 hours of Spa, which will begin at 4:30. We're on an hour before it later on today. So through La Source they turn. Lots of weaving going on to get the warmth into the Pirelli tyres. This championship runs with 3 classes, all the cars the same spec, of course, but it's the driver grading that is the trigger point. So you've got the silver class, the Pro-Am and the Am. And as the leading car, the pace car as it is, brings them uphill. Let's have a look at how they're going to line up then, because Tom Levin and Robert Consony are on the front, ahead of Josh Miller and then Tom Empson. Jamie Day is going to start on the 3rd row with alongside him Etienne Shelley, whose car retired after an incident yesterday. On the 4th row in 229 Ginetta, it's Hugo Mojica, and then alongside him reigning silver champion Gabriele Piano. Loris Cabiru is in 56 Ginetta. Hendrik Still drives number 100 ahead of Laurent Hergon and Antoine Leclerc, the 2 Alpines together. Cameron Lawrence is on the 7th row with Matt Nicol-Jones for company. Max Kronberg and Raphael Renhofer, a race winner this year. He's way back on the 8th row, but one to watch ahead of Marco Signoretti and Ricardo van der Ende, winner here last year. Max Bird, his car was damaged yesterday. Stefan Lemeray alongside him on the 10th row. Alex Papadopoulos won at Misano. He's on row 11 with Nico Verdonk ahead of Jean-Laurent Navarro and Noam Abramczyk. Florian Brichet next ahead of Leo Pichler. Then Alexander Weintraub and Holger Holmlund. Mikey Porter next alongside Pedro Ibrahim. Paolo Meloni starts the family warhorse, the BMW M4, alongside Nikolai Müller-Madsen's Porsche. Then Canadian driver Samantha Tan with Anthony de Barn for company alongside in the BMW. Then it's Joachim Walder with Nicolas Malloy next up. Cindy Goudet starts number 66 Toyota with Baudouin Detou alongside. Quentin Denis is next, and then 40th on the grid, number 21 of Fabien Duffiot. Jordan Kerridge is next, and alongside him another of the NM team Mercedes of Guillermo Asso. Then Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Matt Travis. Then it is Onga Erdem and Dennis Nielsen. Florian Grisot next with aboard 97 BMW Joachim Walder. Then Andrei Solokovtsev and Richard Wolf. You've got then Pietalami and Rafa Martinez ahead of Mikael Brunhagen and Sascha Bottomar. And to complete the grid for Allied Racing in 44, it is Maximilian Angelard, the Polish driver. So that is a monster grid. In silver, we've had 5 races and 5 different winning combinations. We've had almost the same in Pro-Am, with only Finn Zulauf and Max Kronberg winning twice, whereas in Am, 4 wins out of 5 for Laurent Hergon and Pascal Houteau. So they've had it slightly easier. But when you've got, what, 55 cars on track, Charlie, nothing is easy.
Nothing is easy at all, but credit to those guys. Ergon and Houteau, they've done such a fantastic job all season, and you wouldn't count them out again to try and do the double here at Spa. The one car that I would like to have a good look at, we talk about the BMWs not being the best qualifiers, but at least we can see Gabriele Piana here in P8. Now, P8 for someone like him probably doesn't sound as good as you think, but for those BMWs that have struggled a bit in qualifying, I think you think 8th, actually, with the driver pairing that they have, could be right up there come the end of the race.
Yeah, you'd take that, wouldn't you? As long as he doesn't get involved in any dramas early on. Although Piana, very, very experienced. The car got roughed up yesterday, didn't it? And ended up as a retirement. So hopefully things will be better today. Fabio Rauer and Henrik still never got out of turn 1 yesterday. They ended up in the gravel. So as ever, lots of people with possibly contrasting fortunes over the course of the weekend. It's a 60-minute race, mandatory pit stops between 25 and 35 minutes. You're riding on board with 77. This car for this race is going to be started, the second of the elite motorsport McLarens, by Tom Emson. So it's the 2 Toms in this for the Eddie Ives' own team. It's Robert Consigny, the former rally driver in the Audi, on the outside of the front row. And now they get themselves in formation, ready for the start of the race, heading towards the chicane, out of which they will come, and then we'll be in business. But this gives you a sense of the size of the grid, stretching all the way back round Blanchimont still. It
absolutely does, yeah, and you can see they're starting to grid up into formation 2 by 2 now. So this is where they can't have any more weaving as they go into Blanchimont. Now they're just thinking to themselves, okay, how are my tire temperatures? How are my pressures? Naturally, they're going to decrease now as they go nice and slow. Probably only being about 70, 80 kilometers an hour behind the safety car now. So they're just going to be thinking, okay, let's get a nice start. You can see that Consigny was looking really positive before the race, and his teammate was saying, how are we going to get in the win? How are we going to lead this race? We've got to do it on lap 1.
Absolutely right. So he's going to be on the outside line to La Source. Last of the late breakers, it will be. The back of the pack coming out of Blanchimont down towards the chicane comes the Lamborghini, because the official cars in the GT World Challenge Europe and its support series provided by Lamborghini this year. So that Huracan will dive for the pit lane, and appropriate in the sense that it's at the front, because it will be a Lamborghini at the front for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa itself after Superpole yesterday. To the pit lane it will come, to the lights will come the race cars, and so we are just about good to go then as the field turns its way now up through the chicane, and the yellow McLaren on pole position in the hands of Tom Levin, set to go racing then. 1 hour of GT4 European Series drama is about to get underway. One of the Alpines a little bit keen there as the lights change. Now we go green. The start, no doubt, is going to be investigated, but we need to see who's going to lead out of turn 1. On the inside then, it is Tom Levin. On the outside line, Robert Consigny, who is way later on the brakes, scrabbles round the corner and comes out ahead, I reckon. Tom Levin's going to try to get up alongside him. This is Tom Emson's view, and it's very, very busy. There's a Ginetta in the pit lane. Look, Lawrence Cabirou's car, and downhill, Tom Levin is about to lose second place as well, because that, charging round the outside, looks like the Etienne Shelley Supra.
Yeah, fantastic move again. This is what we said. If they're going to win this race, they have to at least get in the lead at the start. And haven't they done such a fantastic job there, as the 78 McLaren there has just got muscled out, hasn't quite got the straight line speed. So the Toyota got by. Now, can the Aston Martin do anything behind it? As you can see, the Toyota super aggressive as they head into Le Combe.
Or super aggressive. There's a yellow flag out in the first sector. Out of Le Combe they come for the first time. And up front then is the Audi in the hands of Robert Consigny. Further back, number 100 on its toes, the Aston Martin trying to wriggle up the order. That the car that comes out of the Pro Sport stable, and that has got Henrik Still at the wheel of it, who's been an outright winner in the past. So down through Bruxelles they come. Safety car called already. Safety car called. So our second GT4 race of the weekend has an early safety car, and it's all coming out of La Source. Well, there's a driver out of a car. Oh dear, that's Florian Grisot's Aston Martin, and it's sort of creamed up against the barrier, isn't it? It's got squeezed into the wall there. And Lawrence Cabirou's Ginetta I saw come down the pit lane. That might have been in avoidance, I guess. So Kabiru hasn't got very far. And also, there's another Ginetta in strife. Hugo Mojica hasn't got through the first sector. Let's try and piece it together. What do we learn here? Out of La Source they come. And Grizzo just seems to bounce into the wall. I don't think anyone squeezed him. Or did he get a nudge off the Lotus there, number 69, possibly got involved with him because that car is being pushed out of the way. So that sadly is Jordan Kerridge out of the race. Nathan Harrison denied a drive, but curious one, that.
Strange one, yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing that replay again. It's always tricky as you come out of the source because obviously it's such a bottleneck coming into turn one, so you can find that cars are just trying to make the way or trying to avoid collisions that might be going on further ahead. So they all just spread out thinking about themselves, forget there might be cars on the inside, but couldn't quite see other cars involved, but I'm sure he wouldn't just go straight into wall on his own. So yeah, let's see. But I was nearly about to say it looks like we've all got everybody through turn one nice and safely, but it doesn't seem that way. So I think we could get these cars cleared up relatively quickly, hopefully get back to green flag racing nice and quick.
But Robert Constantly doing what he needed to do, and Enzo Julier then taking that Super up into second place. Here's another angle. See, look left, and the Ginetta goes for the pit lane, so that just bails. Not quite sure what all that was about. No, it kicked off in the background, sort of behind all that. I'm slightly perturbed by the Ginetta bailing for the pits, but anyway, we'll see if that can rejoin. At the moment, it has not. Lots of people going off the road there, just the easiest way, I think, to avoid dramas.
It is the easiest way. It's also just gives everybody else a little bit of breathing room as well as they come through. We have a little bit more of a shot through turn one now. You see Constantly really brave around the outside. How late did he brake there? Wonder if we can see in the background anything happen at the rear. Don't think we can, but yeah, Constantly did a fantastic job there. And then the Supra following behind perfectly. You can see Jamie Day as well and Josh Miller going side by side through a Rouge. Jamie Day just cutting the top. Great little battle there, and everybody, as you said, David, alluded to pick the safer option there.
So it is safety car on the opening lap to clear up the dramas coming out of La Source. Florian Grisot's David Pouget run Aston Martin. That was a class winner earlier on in the season out of the AM Cup. They won the first race at Misano. Another angle of it. Let's have a look at the good start being made by Constantly. So bear in mind the Audi driver on the outside of the front row comes from a rally background where you've got to perform straight away on cold tyres, and round the outside he went. And it was brave, as Charlie Fagg said, but he came out of the corner ahead. Now, have a look for the rest of it. There's the Lotus in the middle of the pack somewhere. There, and it comes across, and yes, there's just a little rub between the two, and that, like a pinball, fires the Aston Martin into the wall. So, excellent spot by our TV crew to find that little bit of contact that fired the Aston, but it takes such a little hit, doesn't it? And that's it, bang, off you go.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're just going in a complete straight line, and then the other issue is you have absolutely no idea that a car's going to do that. Yeah. So you're just thinking, just going straight up to a Rouge, completely innocent party there, the Aston Martin, and as the Lotus just came across, he won't even be thinking that the Aston Martin there's no maliciousness in that at all. It's just one of those things, but such an awkward incident, and unfortunately, a lot of damage there, so we can see the Kabiru Ginetta in the pit lane, as you saw, bailed out early.
So clearly something either mechanical or electrical that instantly meant that he wasn't happy to be on the track and came in.
Safety car in this lap.
Safety car in this time. That voice you've heard in the background is that of Joel Doval, who is the race director for GT4 European Series, and like the entirety of the race direction team, he's set for a busy weekend because he's also one of the race directors for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa as well. And the team, of course, making sure that everything is run properly for every race, and the track having been cleared means that we are set to go racing once again. Now this is where Etienne Shelley, behind the wheel of the Supra, needs to do a Constantly. In other words, he needs to be brave on the restart and see what he can do about getting ahead of the race leader like Constantly did from the original start.
Absolutely, yeah, and going back to Etienne Shelley, 4 places gained into that first couple of corners there. What a fantastic job from the Supra, car that we know has such good pace, but like you say, can he get past the Robert Constantly Audi? For me, I think it'll be difficult. They look quite similarly matched in terms of how they produce a fast lap time. They both look like they have good straight line speed. You'd argue the Supra a little bit more nimble through those tight and twisty parts. He did look aggressive on the back of Constantly. For me, I think Robert Constantly knows he's got that bit between his teeth. Tom Levin's behind him, 2 places, so he's thinking, if we want to crack on with this championship, I know we want the points, but we can go and win this race.
And action will continue at the end of this lap then. So we should go back to racing this time, is what we've been told. The Ginetta of Loris Cabiru has rejoined. So whatever they did, they seem to have laptops ready to be plugged in. And hopefully that Ginetta is going to be okay. But it's lost a lap, hasn't it, while it's been sitting in the pit lane. So it's already up against it, having dropped off the lead lap. So up they come to the chicane. Etienne Shelley in the toy. Oh, hello. That is from third and fourth places, almost overtaking Tom Leben, as though he was expecting the restart to have come, as in the pace quickened, and all of a sudden realised it hadn't, and he had to get on the anchors. So that was all a bit messy. I don't think anybody actually overtook, but that might get looked at as Robert Constantly comes across the line. Etienne Shelley, I was trying to say, needs to be on his toes here for the restart, but he has missed the opportunity to have a go at the Audi, at least towards La Source. And Tom Leben is under attack, because right there behind him, look, is Jamie Day in the Aston, number 82, the yellow-nosed car.
Yeah, fantastic restart there from Jamie Day. Interesting to see if Robert Constantly will be under investigation for that start. Look at the straight line speed of Jamie Day, all on the grass at Eau Rouge. Can he stay tucked in there? Hopefully the camera pans back through. No, he's staying just behind, but let's see if he can use all of his straight line speed advantage to get past as we see the battle for the lead here.
And that is Etienne Shelley using all of his straight line speed to just go booming past the Audi. The Toyota goes through, and look at the McLaren of Leben. He gets a tow from Robert Constantly, dives to the outside line, tries to go all the way around the outside, coming up towards Lincoln, and he's done it up into second place, and that was brave stuff, and a good pass by Leben.
It certainly was. I can't really understand what's happened to Constantly. Looks like he's been super slow. Not sure if he has an issue, but can't believe how much he's backing off there. He's been swarmed by every single car. This is very un-Constantly-like, and for me, he seemed like the car that was super aggressive, really good in its size. And look at everybody swarming him here. I'm hopeful that they don't have an issue, but I'm just not sure what's going on with that Audi.
Yeah, right. It's like it's not really picked up pace, almost like it can't be stuck in a gear, can it? And it's not in limp home mode, but it's neither slow nor quick. It's in a sort of no man's land. 92, Nicolas Malloy, stop go penalty, we understand, as the leaders come through Pouin, or the top two at least, getting out the other side of Pouin. And look at the cork in the bottle. It's Audi shaped. It is Robert Constantly, whose car just does not want to kick in on this restart. Jamie Day is behind him, then Gabriele Piana, then the Alpine in the hands of Antoine Leclerc. Round the outside there goes Tom Empson in the other elite McLaren, trying to squeeze past 62 Mustang of Matt Nicol-Jones, and he does so. MNJ gets roughed up.
What a great move from Tom Empson there, and Josh Miller follows through nicely as well. Two cars in one corner there, so pretty amazing job there. I'm hoping that it looks like the Audi seems to have gotten a little bit more pace. Yes, he is the cork in the bottle, but they're not the fastest through Sector 2 regardless. So now it needs to show that he's got the straight line speed, because you never normally see a McLaren tow up to an Audi and pass it on the straight. So let's see if Constantly hopefully doesn't have an issue and he can crack on now.
And they come out of Blanchimont. And so as the field accelerates up towards the chicane, the race leader is then in the Supra, Etienne Shelley, ahead of Tom Leben, and a big send up the inside there by Tom Empson. He puts himself up past the Alpine, so his progress is good on this opening couple of laps of the race as the field sprints past the pits. The lead gap then between Shelley and Leben is just over a second, and Robert Constantly in third place, now looking as though, okay, yes, he's under attack, he's got them all queued up behind him, but now as though things are settling down a bit and he is being a bit more confident in the car.
Yeah, really strange. Still not sure exactly what happened there, but it looks like it's settled down a little bit more behind him. Jamie Day now under attack from the ever-fast Gabriele Piana, and Tom Empson looks super aggressive as well. We know how fast that McLaren is as we see a couple of cars side by side into Eau Rouge. So I think this battle for your P3 to your P4 all the way down to 10 will hot up really nicely for the start of this race.
So the cars pound uphill. And as they do so, Etienne Shelley to the good by 1 second. Constantly losing a place. Jamie Day goes through. Gabriele Piana goes through. So Constantly fired back 2 places in all of that. The Audi just seems to give a big toe to anything else behind it on that run up the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, normally we see, just so you guys know behind us, we see Tom Empson there looking for a go into Brussels. We normally see the Robert Constantly car through the first speed trap in the high 240s. He's only 3 kilometers an hour faster than the McLaren. Now, that's not enough because they haven't got the cornering speed in the second sector. They need to have some sort of advantage. So I wonder if they're just not quite running at the exact same speed as they were yesterday, and that's why he can't fight, because he's got no straight line speed.
But equally, the car looked okay off the start, didn't it? You can't put it down to cold tyres on the restart, because it was cold tyres and he got the jump on everybody else. He wasn't really mugged on the run up the hill on that opening lap of the race. So it's a real ponderance, this, as to what's going on with the Audi. Jamie Day versus Gabriele Piana. The BMW damaged yesterday. Again, nice to hear the reigning silver champion, Gabriele Piana, on the back of the Aston. They swing their way now down towards the campus right-hander and then towards the Cours Paul Frère once more. But the Jamie Day Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin ahead of the Borissan Automotive BMW, and Consani not staying with them. He's falling back.
Yeah, falling back even more so. Really worried that might be a much bigger issue for Robert Consani there, even if he can stay ahead of Emson into Blanchimont here. As we see the Alpine looking up the inside there as the big hairy Mustang all over it as well. So Gabriele Piana right behind Jamie Day. We said this car would be fast in the race. Is he going to go all the way around the outside? No, just gets muscled out. Thanks a lot, Jamie Day, and thanks for nothing. As he cuts the chicane, he'll have to give that position back and then try and crack on onto that top three.
The BMW of Rick Bouthorn and Onder Erdem is being given a 10-second penalty at the pit stop for causing a collision. Gabriele Piana then up ahead of Jamie Day down into La Source, and Robert Consani is back with them, but he's back with them largely because they delayed themselves rather than pace. But let's see whether or not that Audi can now become a rejuvenated car as the stint goes on. I do have it in my mind yesterday, it got better as the stint progressed, so maybe it doesn't like full tanks and the weight that that provides with the fuel. We'll see. Here, Consani all of a sudden looks like he's back at the races. Look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. Although we did see that Jamie Day has got passed there by Gabriele Piana into the final corner, although Piana did cut the chicane there and didn't give the place back. Now, he'll argue to us that, no, I didn't give the place back because he pushed me off the track, whilst Jamie Day will be going, well, he's jumped the whole chicane past me, he needs to give the place back. So I'll be interested to see if the race director has anything to say about that, because that will change the race a little bit.
Gravel on the exit of the Les Combes sequence. Up the inside goes 55 Alpine then. That car that is Laurent Hergon with driving duties in stint 1 and battling there with Cameron Lawrence in the quicker of the two RAFA Racing Club McLarens as they drop downhill. But at the head of that queue in the Ford Mustang, you've got Marco Signoretti pushing on. Great variety with Mustang, Alpine, McLaren, Ginetta, Aston Martin, Porsche. Nico Verdonk there, number 1 at the back of the queue in the team Floral Van Springel Ford Mustang. Good to see more and more of the Mustangs coming into GT4 racing. And the great mix, it's not only of the cars and the brands, it's the shapes, isn't it? You know, you've got the sort of low-line McLaren, the touring car style BMW, great mix of shapes.
Absolutely, yeah. Nice to see also the Ford Mustang with Matt Nicol-Jones doing so well up there in P7. We haven't seen the best of it so far this year, so good to see it doing well, and great to see cars like that racing this tiny little Alpines as well. Just shows how good and versatile GT4 racing can be. Looks like Consani has got on with it a little bit more now. He's all over the back of Jamie Day for P4, so I'll be really interested to see if they box him early there. Maybe he's just not quite comfortable in the car, then and he will hand over hopefully at the end to his teammate Benjamin Lariche, and I wonder if he can do any better.
Well, Consani on the back of Jamie Day now as they come up towards the line. You, in that battle that Charlie was talking about with the Alpine, saw Laurent Hergon, the leading AM. He's rather made that class their own, Laurent Hergon, Pascal Houteau. Over the timing line, then Jamie Day, Robert Consani now running in 5th place, 6.8 seconds off the lead. Fastest lap of the race, though, Gabriele Piana. Should we trot out the line again about the BMW racing better than they qualify? How about that? Piana now edging closer to the top 2, as here another BMW, Benjamin Lessen's car, is under attack because you've got Josh Miller right up alongside as they squeeze towards Eau Rouge. Up the curb goes the BMW. Brave stuff by Benjamin Lessen. He comes out ahead.
Brave stuff by both those drivers there. A little bit of damage on the right-hand side wing mirror for Josh Miller there. So wonder if it's been in a little bit of contact with Van der Ende. But again, just going back to what we were saying before, we see Piana doing a good job and Van der Ende also making the same sort of strides forward in that BMW. Piana now doing a good job, Sector 1, sorry, 2.5 tenths faster than both the two cars ahead. So it'll be really, really interesting to see if he can get up to the front and use all of that pace that the BMW has in this race.
So down they go towards Bruxelles. This is now lap 6 out of the race. More gravel on the road. It's interesting, isn't it, that despite that being dragged onto the circuit, you don't get a spate of punctures. The cars are able to cope with it, even if it's not ideal. And a 10-second penalty, I think I mentioned, for the BMW for causing an early collision. There, the graphic confirming Laurent Hergon as the AM Cup leader for the Schumacher CLRT team, the CLRT proportion being the Comme-Ledegar Racing Team. There, Day versus Consony. Robert Consony on the fight back now. Audi to the outside of the Piff Path, inside for the second part, can't do it. And Tom Empson says, thank you very much. A door is open for me, and I'm going to get the McLaren stuck up the inside, and through he will go. Willy. Yes, done on the inside. Good pass.
Really good. Robert Consony, it's a really tricky one there because the outside turns into the inside, but if you can't quite get door to door with the other car, well, they just fire you off into the outside, and then you get mugged off by the car behind. So for me, not the cleverest move, and then it leaves him vulnerable to Matt Nicol-Jones there in the Ford Mustang, as we see Van der Ende all over the Alpine coming into Blanchimont. But yes, interesting to see now. Consony has got good pace, but Jamie Day, he's not the easiest guy to get past, I can tell you that for sure.
Stéphane Lemeray knows this place very well. He leads Pro-Am at the moment, the Belgian journalist racer, and in the CMR Ginetta. That number 100 Aston you're looking at, Hendrik Still, who's in 11th place. Meantime, the lead gap between Shelley and Leben is 1.2 seconds. Piana's done another fastest lap of the race in third in the BMW, so now first to third is only 4 seconds. Just about everybody has got somebody to fight against. As there, look, the Ford Mustang towering over Hendrik Still coming down towards La Source. Marcus Vigneretti at the wheel, and then behind them is number 10 Ginetta, that is Stéphane Lemeray.
Yeah, interesting now. Etienne Shelley a little bit slower on that lap as we see the Ford Mustang going slowly, isn't that, David?
It is, and I'm just wondering which one of them it is. Is that an Academy car? I fear it is. And that looks like Marco Signoretti, potentially. And he's got a problem, clearly, because he's off the road. It is Signoretti. And all of a sudden, that car has lost pace.
I think that might be Matt Nicol-Jones in the P7 car. Not exactly sure, but just looked very, very similar to his helmet inside.
Okay.
And he still hasn't come through Sector 1, so I'm afraid that might be the better of the Fords. As you see, the McLaren going slow as well.
That's Empson. Tom Empson has slowed down now as well. He's got a problem. You're right about Matt Nicol-Jones, I fear. But Tom Empson's McLaren back up to pace. Maybe he just had a moment in the middle of a Lecombe, but that put him off his stride. But it seemed to be okay to Bruxelles. Let's listen in.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Like you said, sounds okay. Just wonder if he got a good run or anything from Jamie Day, or maybe Robert Consony's tried to come back at him. They've had a little bit of contact because he seems to be getting back on it absolutely fine. So for me, I wonder if there's been a little bit of strife between the two cars. Empson 3 seconds slower in that sector, and so was Consony.
Now this is Tom Empson's on board. That's the Nelson Panciatici, Antoine Leclerc Alpine going through, and a very frustrated Tom Empson. So he then brakes late, sends it up the inside, can't make the corner, just understeers straight out and has to wait. Gets back on now. So that's why he was slow, because he'd had to back right out of it.
Yeah, and we can see him here as well. I think that's the exact same car going slowly again. So not sure.
Bit of the gravel though, I think.
Yeah, he absolutely has. Not sure if he's just frustrated because of the lack of power that McLaren has, or if there's something even more serious going on with that car. But regardless, if it's straight line speed problem, or if you're struggling just to brake that late and cause nearly a collision, just relax. You just got to calm down now. I understand it's not quite going right for you guys, but you've still got a good car underneath you. Let's try and utilise everything you've got.
He was on the outside of the traffic, wasn't he, trying to make amends, just ran out of road, got roughed up a bit there. So it's been a tough lap for Tom Empson, and the other McLaren in trouble there is one of the RAFA Racing Club cars. That's going to be Cameron Lawrence, isn't it, who's slow coming up towards the line. Robert Consony, by the way, has dropped back into 7th place, so he's had a bad lap as well. Right there, going through, I'll try this again, is Marcus Signoretti. You're right, it was Matt Nicol-Jones whose car had the problem. So Signoretti towards us, he's got them all queuing up behind him. Meanwhile, Etienne Shelley leads Tom Levin by 1.2 seconds, and Gabriele Piana is chipping away. That margin first to third, creeping down all the time.
Yeah, half a second faster Gabriele Piana was than the two ahead of him there. He looks like he could be really in good form here for a race win. The difficulty is one thing catching and another passing here, but another 3.5 tenths faster through sector 1. They've got good straight line speed. For me, Piana, he could definitely attack Leben. Etienne Shelley might be a little bit harder, but he will be there in a couple of laps' time. I think we'll see him on the Kemmel Straight trying to pass Tom Leben.
There, into the braking zone goes number 30. That is the Max Kronberg Porsche. That's currently second in Pro-Am, and it is Leo Pichler that he's fighting with. So we're edging towards the pit window, 4 minutes or so away from that. And the two Caymans then side by side, Kronberg on the inside line, Leo Pichler on the outside. WNS Motorsport versus Allied Racing. Same car, but different teams operating them. And a good battle. This 20th overall, but the car of Max Kronberg is second in Pro-Am. Leo Pickler is in silver, so not a class battle as such, but it is an overall place battle.
Yeah, I fear a little bit for the number 77 McLaren there. 1.3 seconds slower than the sister car through Sector 1 and about 5 or 6K slower in the speed trap. Not saying that it is terminal, but they do seem a lot slower than they did at the start of that race. So hopefully for Tom Empson, it comes back to him, but already down to 21st after starting right at the front.
And it was a suspension problem in qualifying one yesterday that they did a remarkable job to get the car sorted and out on track. Now, Gabriele Piana here, you're looking at the man that runs currently in third place, but is closing all the while on the race leaders. Gabriele Piana, the silver champion last year when he shared with Michael Schreit. He's been a class winner within the Nürburgring 24 Hours. He's won the German series. He knows exactly what he's doing, not only in GT4 machinery, but in BMWs specifically. As here, look, is Antoine Leclerc. He is ahead of Robert Consony as well now. So that Audi is just having a really disappointing first stint, and for no obvious reason. Yeah,
falling backwards, isn't it? Antoine Leclerc's done a fantastic job now into the top 5. Van der End as well coming through as we see, oh no, the AMG doing quite a good job actually to try and reverse out of the gravel there. So hopefully if he can get himself back on the track, we won't need a full course yellow or a safety car.
That's true. It's Guillermo Asso, who has gone off, the second of the NM Racing Team cars. That Nico Verdonk Mustang wide, bits of splitter fly, and he loses a place as up and past now comes number 11, Pedro Ibrahim. So the BMW goes ahead of the Mustang, but Nico Verdonk specialises in racing round Spa, but he can't stave off the BMW attack. You can see the damage on that right front corner, and as the leaders work their way up the hill once more, there'll be, of course, a yellow flag in that middle sector. Going really nicely there, look, the other Borusan BMW. So Pedro Ibrahim, having got past the Mustang, picks off Porsches as well. Yeah, doing a really good job. Look at this, it's still fantastic side-by-side battling with the Ginetta, and then round the outside, the Pro Sport Aston Martin's trying to get the inside now for Malmedy. So a good move up to P12 there. Ginetta doesn't have to do too much there because they're not really fighting for this. They're in the Pro-Am class. They're doing a fantastic job right at the front. So if they can just keep their head down and crack on, well then that's their race for them. They're not too worried about the overall. Now that is Guillermo Asso, who has got the car to the edge of the track, but no further. And I think in trying to drive out of the gravel, he reversed to there, then stopped, then tried to turn it round, and he's got himself bogged down at the very end. So the bronze-graded Spanish driver may, yes, trigger a full-course yellow. That's what we've got. And this has come with a minute, effectively, before the pit window opens. So it's going to get delayed like yesterday, isn't it, surely? Yeah, the only good thing with that is everybody that didn't quite get the driving time yesterday, being the second driver, hopefully will get more time today. So let's see. But yeah, interesting how that's got stuck there as we see the Academy Aston, I think, into the pit lane already. That's Matt Nicol-Jones, isn't it, who you'd identified that problem with. He had pitted, and I think I'm right in saying the car is going to be rejoining, if allowed, because it's done that pit stop, but it's not necessarily the regulation stop, because, oh no, it's retiring. That's why it's going down the pit lane. It's retired hurt, hasn't it? So real shame for Matt Nicol-Jones' team. Pit window is delayed, as we were predicting, and the yellow board saying stay to the other side of the road. Let's try and work out how Asso ran off. All on his own, so he runs out of road, spins into the gravel. Now, when we last looked, he was going backwards. We did have a GT2 race this morning. Mercedes went off there and drove out of the gravel. But now, Guillermo Asso thinks, right, what can I do? I know, I'll go backwards. Now, on one side of this gravel trap is the circuit. On the other side of the gravel trap is an access road. So far, so good. He's kept it moving. But I have a horrible feeling that when he tries to turn it around and rejoin, the rear is just going to get bogged down. So we turn to an angle, we engage first gear, and then that's where it gets beached. So it was sort of the right idea. It just didn't come out in execution, did it? Yeah, I mean, 10 points for style there. You don't see many people reversing through a gravel trap. I might try that one when I'm next in there, which I'm sure won't be too far away. But yeah, then he's gone for the J10, flicked it into first gear, spun the rear wheels up, and then, the more you rev it and the more you try and get out the gravel as fast as possible, the deeper you sink, really. So that's always stuck in mud, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. It certainly is. And you try and get these drivers to always make sure when they're coming through, as obviously the younger drivers, that's for sure, they will always have trips into the gravel when they're doing Ginetta Juniors or Formula 4, always release the clutch nice and slow, really try and be almost like a granny start coming out of the gravel there, nice and slow. But unfortunately for some of the bronze drivers, for any driver really, once you're in the gravel, you just want to get out as fast as possible. So the blood rises, the adrenaline's a bit too heightened, and then you just into first gear, rev it as hard as you can, and then you're stuck.
So the full course yellow deployed to slow everybody down to make it safe for the marshals to work. The car is out of the gravel, and the gravel is on the road, and now Guillermo Asso tries to turn the car around. It does look like a rally stage down there now, so I wonder whether anybody else might get caught out. Presumably next we're going to want the safety car to scoop up everybody and quicken the pace ready for the restart, so don't be surprised if we get the Lamborghini safety car out on track, especially as at the moment the field is obviously quite strung around the circuit with nearly a full stint done, therefore the gaps had opened up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully they can get that car as we do see the safety car deployed now. So we'll all bunch up behind that safety car. It'll neutralize the whole race. This has given a good, I guess, lifeline to all the cars that are like Jamie Day, Van der Ende, Leclerc, Consony, all those drivers. They'll be thinking, okay, we've got another shot at winning this race, because the top three just start to edge away quite substantially between everybody else. So if I'm Benjamin Leclerc, or if I'm anybody in that sort of second stint, I'm thinking, yeah, I think we can have a good little go here.
Safety car in at the end of the lap. We've got another trouble Ginetta there, going slowly up the hill. Almost as though that car has got itself into limp home mode. If you have a button to put yourself at the full course yellow pace, it is as though that car hasn't been able to release from it. How does it work?
Yeah, exactly as you said there, David. You basically have a few buttons on the steering wheel. The main ones you're going to use, obviously, are radio, pit button, and then you have a bright yellow button, which is for full course yellow. That will limit the car to 80 kilometers an hour. It's a bit like using cruise control in your road car. The only issue is you go to turn that off by clicking the same button. If that has an error or gets stuck or whatever it might be, well, then you're stuck at 80 k's for the whole time. So hopefully they can sort that out nice and quick.
So the cars making their way down towards the long double apex left of Pouin. We have got a pit stop penalty coming for 36, I think I'm right in saying, which is the Leclerc and Pancitici Alpine for track limit abuses. We're going to get the restart underway, and then the decision will be communicated about the pit stop window and its opening time, because notionally we're 4 minutes into it, but we're clearly not, but the pit stop opening time will be confirmed. First up, though, we're going to get the race underway. Safety car in at the end of this lap to confirm.
So for me here, I'm thinking Etienne Shelley obviously will know exactly what he's doing for the safety car restart. Now the safety car lights are out. When they go out, he will be effectively the safety car. He will control the pace. He can go as fast or as slow as he wants, so long as he doesn't pass the safety car before the final corner. I'm actually having all my eyes on Gabriele Piana here. He's got a great car underneath him, something, again, super quick in that first sector. If I'm Tom Levin, I'm thinking, this is going to be tricky. I either need to do something big into turn one to get through past Etienne Shelley, or I'm going to be a sitting duck to Piana, Day, and Van der Ende behind.
And there is then Benjamin Leclerc. He's going to take over from Ricardo van der Ende in that 5th place BMW. So as the cars make their way up towards the chicane, everybody concertinaing, the safety car is heading for the pit road, and it's going to be up this time to Etienne Shelley to control the pace as the cars now sweep into the chicane. Etienne Shelley arrives with all due haste, doesn't he? Went a bit deep into the chicane there, and he's ragged coming out the other side, but he will lead as we go green once more over the timing line. We're back racing, and we've got exactly 30 minutes to go as they come by with, in 2nd place, Tom Levin, and then it's game on for 3rd, Gabriele Piana. He's worked his way past Jamie Day, but Day is under attack from Ricardo van der Ende, who is 5th, and then 6th is Antoine Leclerc in the Alpine.
Yeah, big shout out Tom Levin there, did a fantastic job. As we can see, big gaps there again between Robert Consony and Antoine Leclerc. Just shows, have they still got that issue? Can't explain what's going on there, but doesn't seem to have resolved itself.
Like it won't accelerate away.
Absolutely.
You know,
Pit window open.
Pit window is now open, so it's as though with that Audi, as though it just can't pick up quick enough. Anyway, Van der Ende is on his toes, that's for sure, in the BMW, because he's up past Jamie Day. See all the grunt of the M4 in a straight line. Van der Ende tries to crowd Jamie Day and pull across in front of him, which he does, so he's gained the place, and that puts Van der Ende now up into 4th. And not only that, he's going after Piana.
He certainly is, yeah. Fantastic job, though, from Tom Levin. We said that he could be a sitting duck here, but look at him all over the back of Etienne Shelley. Actually, Gabriele Piana was probably the biggest loser, bar Robert Consony there. Just didn't seem like they could fire up their tyres nice and early, so he's looking like he might be getting caught up with Van der Ende. One thing that these two definitely don't want to do is get caught up, because as you can see, look at the Elite Motorsport McLaren all over the back of Etienne Shelley there.
So for the race lead, Shelley versus Levin, Toyota versus McLaren. And there is the Elite Motorsports, if you like, healthy car, because the other one we know has got a problem and has been dropping back. Gabriele Piana on the attack as well, but here almost overlapping for the race lead. Tom Leben to the outside line, but can't get the job done coming into Pif Paf. He's applying the pressure to Shelley, who does drift a little bit wide. The door opens and Leben is on the outside line, exiting Pif Paf. That's the inside line for the next corner. Brave stuff, but Tom Leben read that really well. Through he goes into the lead of the race. The job is done at Campus, but it started going into the Pif Paf 3 corners back.
It certainly did, but it's not over yet for me. Etienne Shelley now coming onto the excellent exit of Paul Frere there, but now look at the straight line speed advantage of that Supra now. Look at it trying to reel in that McLaren. The McLaren's going to be super fast through Blanchimont, but it's not all over yet. If I'm Etienne Shelley, I'm thinking, I've got to get him back now because that McLaren is super fast.
But that Supra goes for the part of the circuit that Leben wanted. Tom Leben way wide at Blanchimont, so that'll be a track limit warning for him. That's opened up the gap as well, hasn't it, by using all of that real estate coming into the chicane. But look at what's going on behind. You've got the 2 BMWs getting nearer and nearer all the time. Not only is Piana very quick, but so is Ricardo van der Ende, Formula Ford Festival winner, GT4 champion as well. Big flash of the lights from Etienne Shelley. That's not going to do a vast amount of good as people bail for the pit lane now, but those quick drivers staying out and continuing the lead battle. What you don't want is for everybody to come in all at once, so there's an element of staggering the pit stops, but the leading 4 covered by 1.7 seconds.
Yeah, fantastic. This is so interesting to see that the top 5, none of the cars boxed there. I thought Leben might have came in, getting the job done, hand over to Josh Ratzikin, and then he could make some inroads on the rest of the pack. But it looks like they've all got the same idea for the moment now. What can Etienne Shelley do? What is his response there? Because for me, I'm thinking Gabriele Piana and Van der Ende are coming super, super fast.
So we have pit stops cycling through. One of them, Robert Consony, to give way to Benjamin Lariche. Another one, Jamie Day in 82. The Racing Spirit of Le Mans. Aston Martin. Jamie Day will give way to Matteo Villagomez. That's 91. Nicolai Muller-Madsen, who's always quick. He's been another silver champion of years past. And goes down now towards Bruxelles with 26.5 minutes on the clock. And again, lots of battles rage on all around the racetrack here.
I'm interested to see now, as Robert Consony's obviously boxed straight away over to his teammate Benjamin Lariche there. Can he do any better, or will they still struggle throughout this race? So let's keep an eye on that Audi there, a car that's really, really fast always, and one for the championship. Really could do with not dropping out the points too much here.
Right, in has come Laurent Hergon to morph into Pascal Houteau, the Schumacher CLRT Alpine. And the Pirelli tyre technicians make sure that all is good with the rubber. That is Gabriela Yilkova into the number 66 Toyota, replacing Cindy Goudet, the all-girl crew. See the instructions on the side about in-gear, radio check, driver ID, that little checklist for the drivers. Right, you've got here Tom Leben in the lead and on the rest of the lap, just edging away slightly, isn't he, from the Toyota, which in turn has got the 2 BMWs behind. The Supra based on the BMW platform, so they're kind of similar cars in a way.
They really are, yeah. Oh, as we see a bit of an incident here into the pit lane, similar to what we saw yesterday here, all the cars funneling through.
Has that hit the wall?
I think it has.
Let's have a look. The Aston gets away. That's the Jamie Day car, isn't it? And then bang, there's contact with another Aston and it's in the wall. So yes, that's Matteo Villagomez, not Jamie Day because they just changed, but that was an unsafe release, no question, because the Aston Martin in front just pulled straight out and nerfed it into the wall.
It certainly did. So frustrating when things like that happen. I'm sure they'll be getting a penalty there, but it looks like it's broken that front suspension, or at least something to do with the links with the steering arms there, because you can still see, even though it was turning hard right, the wheels are still pointing, as you can see there. Yeah, at least it's got going, and now we can get the pit lane all done.
But not there. Don't park there, because that's the Elite Motorsport team. So you can see the drivers saying, please keep going out of our way. Don't stop in our box because you're going to ruin it for us. Just I'm sorry for you, but get out of the way.
Exactly, yeah. Alex Denning there shooting him away there. He could do with a bit of the look of the Irish at the moment because he hasn't had much, has he? But yeah, get him out the way. They had a similar issue in the pit lane towards the end there. But as we see here, Ricardo van der Ende all over the back there of Gabriele Piana there.
Giving him a little tap as well, saying, come on, Gabriele. I'll show you who the master of BMW GT4 cars is. Behind, you've got Antoine Leclerc in the Alpine. Tom Leben leads the race then. This now, because of pit stop cycling through, is for second place, as well as this Inter-Nissan BMW fight with Piana ahead of Van der Ende. Then Gabriele Piana, when he pits, is going to be replaced by Berke Beschler, the quick Turkish driver. That's the Supra in, and Etienne Shelley now gives way to Enzo Juliet. Also, Tom Emson is in to give way to Alex Denning. You've seen that McLaren 24 Porsche from the JSB stable. Florian Brichet for Vinny Beltramelli.
So, yeah, this will be exciting to watch now. Etienne Shelley just giving way there as he comes into the Supra. Now, we have a minimum pit stop time in GT4, so effectively you shouldn't gain or lose anything in the pit stop. The difference is this car here we're looking at has boxed earlier than Tom Leben will, then Piana, then Van der Ende. So if we can see a really, really fast outlap from that car, I wonder if it can get itself back up into the lead of the race, but we know that Rattigan that's going to get into that car is also going to be super fast.
Absolutely so. Down the pit road comes then Enzo Juliet. That is Benjamin Lariche now, who's taken over from Robert Consony. It's going to be interesting just to see what the pace of that car is, because the Audi we were talking about earlier was struggling. Its best lap has been a 2:30.0. Let's just monitor that and see what times Robert Consony's replacement, Benjamin Lariche, is able to do. There it is, the Audi pressing on. You can see in the background the difference between the pit exit line and the race track line, while the Audi chasing after the Supra. So he's back in the mix. The BMW's come in, and look at that for late braking as arriving in the Alpine, flat out, Antoine Leclerc.
Yeah, all the top three there have boxed. Leben, Piana and Van der Ende, and Leclerc, as you mentioned, behind follows in. So now let's see what the difference is between the pit stops. As I alluded to before, you can't gain, you can't lose, but you might have a couple of issues here. You still have to change driver, no fuel or tyres.
Oh, no.
That just sums up the number 77's look, doesn't it?
That's Alex Denning stopping at the end of the pit lane, having to do a reboot and getting away again. There's something about those McLarens. 78 seems to have the good fortune. There it is. 77 has all the bad luck.
Certainly does there, yeah. And I spoke to Alex Denning last night. He said, appreciate the words. Hopefully we'll come back and get a good result today. And I'm afraid that doesn't look like it's going to happen. But yeah, massive shame. If I was Alex Denning, I'd be going, can we not swap these cars halfway through the season? That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Exactly right. And the frustration for the driver, but for the team as well, because elite work on the cars, they think, right, we've nailed that problem, and then, oh, no, it's still in there somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah. They're both these cars from the exact same workshop, doing the exact same setups, exact same mechanics as well, all that take so much pride in these works. I can't tell you enough how good these mechanics are, how hard they work. As we see the change now, driver change, Josh Rattigan getting his teammate out, then he's going to fly into the car, as his teammate will help him get all strapped in. Tom Leben there, fantastic job. Another brilliant job there from Tom Leben to get into the lead after losing it just at the start. But then he did a good job to get back into it, and effectively it was almost as if nothing's happened.
So this is the car that it needs to jump out of the pits ahead of. This is Enzo Juliet at the wheel of the Supra. Looks good in that colour scheme, the largely black over red and a deeper red rather than totally Toyota Gazoo Racing red. So look at that yellow McLaren in the bottom left of the picture. Also, you've got the BMW that was third coming down the pit lane in the hands now of Berke Bessler. And are they going to be ahead or behind of this car? They are still at pit lane towards the pit exit. There, back into the race goes the McLaren, so it stays ahead of the BMW. And where is the Toyota out of all of that? Coming down the hill, I think, is the answer. So there is Enzo Juliet, but that car is at proper pace. This is for the race lead. Toyota on track, McLaren in the pits. McLaren stays ahead, and that means that Josh Rattigan still leads the race. Juliet second, Berke Bessler third. So it's as you were before the stops, but the McLaren now, with Josh Rattigan having to get himself up to speed, with Enzo Juliet much closer than before the pit stops.
Certainly is, yeah. Good job from Enzo Juliet there. He's obviously cracked on with it straight away through the first phase of his race, but we know how fast Rattigan is. We know how fast that car is through Sector 2 as well. So maybe as Juliet was a few tenths, maybe half a second quicker through that last lap, he could have had a little fight into Lecom, but just a little bit too far back at the moment. So let's see. Rattigan hasn't been in the car since yesterday night. He hasn't driven at all. He's going to take maybe half a lap to get back into it, but we know how fast he is. We know how fast all these drivers are. Wonder if Berke Bessler has something special in that BMW as well.
Yellow flag being shown, and we're going full course yellow again, and that's the reason why the other Lotus is in strife 96 into the gravel bed then. So that has done damage, as you can see, to the rear of the car, and big disappointment for the other Mahiki racing car. That's Dexter Patterson, former touring car racer. Something lets go, doesn't it, going through the approach to Blanchimont, and around it goes. That's a scary place. Scary
place, but also a strange place to go off. I hope, I guess that it is a tyre puncture that's happened there. Good to see him walk away from that, quite a high-speed impact there. But yeah, you normally see cars, if they're going to go off, maybe on the exit of Blanchimont, but never to the entry. So for me, I wonder if that's a puncture or something wrong with the car, because, yeah, Dexter Patterson, he knows how to get these cars around this track, and let's see what that happens with.
Both of them got roughed up yesterday, and I've got grab-like down the pit lane after contact. Whether it's a residual effect of that, we, as yet, don't know, but I just wonder. Number 12 also is about to be given a penalty. Now that is the Bessler and Piana BMW. It is for gaining a position off the track, I think.
Yeah, we did mention that one before when he passed the car, and I just thought to myself, I think that that's not right. I'm not sure you can do that.
Was at the chicane, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yes.
That final corner. So, yeah, 5-second time penalty at the end of the race, which in GT4, that could make all the difference because it's easy to slip back, and because the cars are so tightly close together, 5 seconds is a big difference.
And the team will say, why couldn't you have made that decision before we pitted? Because then we could have taken it as a time penalty, and now with a full course yellow to safety car period, we could have brought back that 5 seconds. But this way, it hurts them a bit more.
Yeah, I wouldn't like the job of a race director, that's for sure.
No, true enough.
Do right, do wrong, but absolutely. What I will find quite interesting here as well, we've got a couple of cars that box quite late on, and then they were still in the pit lane or just coming out the pit lane when the FCY was called. I wonder if they've had a slight gain there, because obviously at FCY, the cars are at 80 Ks, not at racing speed. Just wonder if some cars might have benefited ever so slightly lower down the order at that.
May well be right. As you see there, the cars almost trundling towards us. 17 minutes still on the clock, and at the moment the race leading car is there, the McLaren, in the hands of now Josh Rattigan, having relieved Tom Leben. Enzo Juliet in second place, and for third Beke Beschler, but you add 5 seconds to his time come the end of the race. And this is the incident that gave Gabriele Piana the penalty, trying to get around the outside of Jamie Day into the chicane.
Yeah, all the way around the outside. Jamie Day says, no thanks. And Gabriele Piana thinks, well, you forced me off, so I'm going to go straight on. I didn't like what you did there, so I'm just going to have that position and I'll argue it later. The issue now is for poor old Gabriele Piana's teammate, Beke Beschler. Well, he's got the penalty effectively, and he's thinking, I was only sat in the pit lane watching the race on my iPhone, so this isn't very handy.
And with a safety car due, they'll all bunch up. So making up those 5 seconds is harder. It's not insurmountable, but it's harder when you've had a safety car period like this and you've got more cars within that 5 seconds. So coming down past the pits, that is 81. Now that is Cameron Lawrence and Jemima Hepworth's car, which is currently being shown as the lead car.
So I don't know if that is or if it will change when we get past the timing screens, but if I go back to what I was saying before about a couple of cars boxed quite late on during the full course yellow, not sure if they've had a massive gain here because they boxed at the perfect time and got quite lucky, or are they just out of sequence? We need to wait till the end of the lap for them to come through. We can see their absolute position.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where they are on track. They are at Pouin, and here the notional leaders, if you like, are going up out of Les Combes. So I think that is the lead car. They've had a big win on the timing of full course yellows and therefore are ahead. But when a safety car comes, that gap is going to diminish, isn't it? They're all going to queue up behind. But the 81 McLaren has had a big win by being released just as that full course yellow was being called.
Yeah, you can certainly get lucky a lot in full course yellows as a driver. You always feel like it's the flip side. You're always so disappointed with the decisions because it always never feels like it goes your way. But if that is the case, if Gem Hepworth really is in the lead of this race, which I think she is, and has such a huge gap, now I'm sure we'll probably go back to safety car, but if we don't, I can see this car leading the race all the way to the end of the checkered flag. What an amazing opportunity this could be for the super fast Cameron Lawrence, who has done a good job all season, but also for RAFA Racing Club, who could do with a bit of luck and a bit of a result.
Very true. Well, the longer a full course yellow period lasts, the more likely we are to get a safety car. So a safety car will be due, but equally, the longer it takes to get the safety car procedure instigated and the incident cleared, the fewer racing laps they will be the other side. And the fewer racing laps, the greater chance that you have of protecting your position. So even if the car is caught under the safety car, depending on how many laps we end up with, it may not tumble too far.
Yeah, sometimes you think, I can't exactly remember where Cameron Lawrence boxed, but I've had it before where I have been lucky. You come out the pit lane, you think you're in about 10th or 11th place, your engineer comes over and says, okay, we're in the lead. And you think to yourself, oh no, is your first think, because you're thinking, right, I need to make sure that I continue this because no pressure, Gem Hepworth, but it's all down to you now. And at the same time, you're thinking, this is amazing. What an amazing opportunity. Sometimes you just need a little bit of luck in racing, and hopefully she's got the pace now to go and win this race.
And it wasn't the fastest of the pit stops either. It was a good one, but it wasn't the absolute quickest pit stop. But I think the advantage that that team has will be eroded when we get the safety car procedure underway, and we're heading towards that. The car needs to be swept out of the gravel, and then we'll be pretty much in business. We've still got 13.5 minutes of the race to go. Cars turning their way up through the piff-paff here.
Interested to see that Enzo Giulia, as he just came through the speed trap, doing 79 kilometers an hour. Now we know full course yellow speed is 80 kilometers an hour. So you're thinking to me, well, Charlie, that's only 1 kilometers an hour slower. That's not much, but you can see the car behind virtually pushing him through there. If the car is not on exactly 80 kilometers an hour and you're losing that 1 kilometer an hour, it does change the race. You might lose 1.5 seconds in that sector because you're so much slower. Like you say, it shouldn't matter because we're going to go back to safety car. But I've had it plenty of times in my career when you're sat behind a car that's just doing 1 kilometer an hour slower, and it can really ruin your race.
So, frustration for the drivers here because the car's still under this full course yellow procedure, and they want to go racing, but they can't until the track is confirmed as being clear.
Benjamin Lariche there in P7, only just behind the Nelson Panciatici and Benjamin Lassen car. But it'll be interesting to see now, can he do any better there? As we see Lariche, a really experienced driver, and he can do such great things with that Audi, which we know has been super fast, but just struggled in this race for unknown reasons. But hopefully when we get going green, he can really mount an attack, try and get past all those cars to get back some good points for this championship. But really excited to see what Gem Hepworth can do as we do go safety car now.
So safety car on track, and that quickens the pace. It bunches up everybody, and so as the field turns through the chicane, we're running out of minutes, aren't we? We're down to 12, but the field then coming up now into contention to get back onto terms with that McLaren. So Gem Hepworth's advantage is about to just disappear, and that's a little bit soul destroying in a sense, isn't it? You know, you think, okay, I'm in the lead, clock's ticking on down, and then all of a sudden your mirrors get filled with, well, everybody else really.
Absolutely, yeah, but this is a great chance for Gem Hepworth to show how good she can be, how fast that RAFA Racing Club McLaren is. So yes, okay, her 1 minute 30 lead has been completely wiped out, but now she's got the chance to show what she can do. She's got the lead coming into the last 10 minutes. We might only have 4 or 5 racing laps come the end of this safety car period. So, okay, you have a fantastic driver behind with Josh Ratzigan. Some really quick cars behind that as well, but this is all down to you now. Cameron Lawrence has gave you the car in a good position. The team have done a good job. You've been, okay, very lucky with the safety car and the full course yellow coming out. But now it's all down to you. You've got the clear road ahead. Just make sure you back the pack up nice and early into that final chicane. Get a good exit. Stay cool, stay calm, and hopefully the cars behind will squabble, and that will allow you to go ahead, stretch your legs and win this race.
So there, the safety car heads down the hill. And it's going to take a little while, of course, for everybody to catch right up. But we're getting there, we're getting there. And the clock ticks on down, so 10 more minutes. It's going to be a real kind of dash for the cash, isn't it? It's going to be a bit harum-scarum at the very end here, as the other RAFA Racing Club car of Rafa Martinez and John Lancaster is being looked at for a possible pit stop infringement, and so also is the Lonely Martin Sacha Botterman Porsche for a possible pit stop. And when a message comes up saying under investigation, it normally means you've been found out.
Yeah.
They don't investigate for nothing.
No, absolutely. 90% of the time you see that it's either too short a pit stop, speed in the pit lane, whatever it is, it's a penalty. So a shame for John Lancaster and the RAFA Racing Club.
And the other thing from the pits, just to catch up on, the Aston that we saw crash into the Jamie Day car was the Josh Miller, Ruben Delsart entry from Mirage. That was the one that was released, and it's being investigated for an unsafe release. So that kind of tidies that one up as well. Safety car in at the end of this lap, and that's going to give us, what, about 9 minutes thereabouts?
Yeah, okay, so Gem Hepworth, all down to you now. Let's have an exciting race. I'm sure we will. Josh Rattigan will be thinking, right, I was unlucky there, been passed. Not through my fault, but Gem Hepworth now, if I could speak to you, I'd just be going, right, stay cool, stay calm, don't worry about the pressure behind, just do your own race. You've got this pace, you've got the track all clear to yourself now, dead in front. So just make sure you get a good, clear exit out of this exit here of Lecombe, out of the bus stop, I should say. As she goes a little bit deep, slows the car down, back to green flag racing. Let's go.
So, green flag is shown, and we are back in business. Jem Hepworth goes across the line, but this could be a rather difficult 9 minutes then as they come over the timing line, because behind is Josh Rattigan in exactly the same sort of car. Let's see whether Josh is able to make a move and, of course, do a double. Nobody has done the double this year. We haven't had a double winner even across any event out of the Silver Cup, but that could change right now. But in fairness, Jem Hepworth is not going to be a pushover here. She's going to defend as best she can.
I'd love to see her have a really good defense here. Rattigan a little bit faster through Eau Rouge there. He's going to get the toe, and I think if he gets a really good run out of Eau Rouge, which he has, and he's in the slipstream, he might even be able to do the overtake before we get to Le Con. But look at the speed of that Supra in the car behind as well.
Here they come. Juliet in the Supra getting a toe. To the inside dives Josh Rattigan. Can't do it. Jem Hepworth might not be able to pull away, but she's hanging on to that race lead. Bessler, and then behind Lessen, come up to attack Juliet. Bessler was ahead anyway, but I think Benjamin Lessen will be ahead on the outside line. Yeah, job done. That was good stuff. But Jem Hepworth hanging on to the advantage. And now Josh Rattigan is getting a bit frustrated. He's on the light saying, come on, get out of my way. I want to win this.
Yeah, but so does Jem Hepworth. She's doing a really, really fantastic job as she breaks into no name now. She's just got to keep cool, cover those exits. That's where Josh looks like he's a bit quicker. Hopefully defends hard into Pouon, squeezes him onto the grass. But I think Rattigan's got it done here, and that for me is the move of the race. Done.
So through goes Josh Rattigan into the lead, looking for 2 out of 2 at Spa. In third place, Becky Bessler, but remember, plus 5 seconds. So even though the blue-fronted BMW runs third, might be second in a moment, you've got to add that time penalty at the end of the race. Look in the background as well at Benjamin Lariche, because the Audi was thrown a lifeline by that safety car, and he's now all over Nelson Panciotici's Alpine like a rat. There it is, the very colourful Audi. But Jem Hepworth is doing a ripper job of keeping everybody else at bay, isn't she? She's hanging on to that second place.
She certainly has done a really good job there. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of an aggressive defence just into Pouon, just so we could have prolonged this fantastic battle. My only worry now is she's going to be the cork in the bottle slightly, and these super fast, high grunt BMWs are going to fly past her coming into Blanchimont now, so hopefully she won't drop out.
For unsafe release and causing collision in the pit lane.
That is the Ruben Delsart car, I fear, getting the penalty there for the unsafe release into the Jamie Day Via Gomez car.
Absolutely right. So that was the race director, Joel Durval, confirming that penalty to us. There is Benjamin Lariche, look, who's now on the tail of the traffic as they come up to the line. Leading car then is the McLaren in the hands of Josh Rattigan in second spot as they come by. Let's see the new order, because you've got Becky Bessler second on the road, plus 5 seconds. Benjamin Lessen third. Jem Hepworth is there in fourth place. She could be the best bit of news here for Becky Bessler. The longer she holds up the pack, the fewer places he will fall.
Exactly, yeah. But on the flip side, if she can crack on now, she can still get this podium because of Becky Bessler's 5-second penalty. So it's not the end of the world, even though she is in P4. And wouldn't that be so nice for that team that had to do so much work on the other car to get that new gearbox in just a few days ago? So much hard work goes into it, as unfortunately we see the sister car getting a 10-second penalty for a short pit stop.
That Toyota, in contrast to the Audi, is struggling a bit on this restart, like it had almost gone to sleep. It's got the grunt in a straight line here, but it had had its hat nailed on other parts of the circuit. So Enzo Juliet, second on the restart, is going to be at the bottom end of the top 10. Look, that's Delsart going through on the inside line. Also in the middle of that, Hugo Sasser, number 99. But the Toyota, that's fading.
Really strange. Some of the cars we've seen in this race have been super, super fast. We've had a safety car, and then as it's got back green, it's almost as if they've just not got back going, and it's not, for me, a driver thing at all. It's just that I'm not sure if the cars haven't switched on, the tyres haven't switched on, but interesting to see how much they've dropped back. And also, on the flip side, interesting to see how much Benjamin Lariche now is pushing. If he can get fast, quickly past Panciottici and Jem Hepworth, bearing in mind Becky Bessler has a 5-second penalty, there's no reason why they can't get on the podium. From what a race looked like, they could have been out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, even though it led briefly on the first lap. Absolutely. So it's been a really weird race for that Audi. And Benjamin Lariche, yeah, as you say, not giving up. Panciottici on the tail of Jem Hepworth, who is falling away. She's doing what she has to do. She's got to defend that place, that's fine. But her pace means that she's dropping back from the traffic ahead. And here they come, down towards the right-hander of Campus. This is turn 14, if you like, in new money. And as the field turns through, Hepworth, Panciottici, Lariche, Jem Hepworth is sort of punching above her weight here because she's up against much more experienced drivers.
Yeah, she certainly is, but doing a fantastic job. The McLaren and the Alpine are probably two more similar cars than the Audi is. If you watch the straight line speed now of this Audi, going left, right, thinking about the outside line, nothing to do there really through Blanchimont. But this is all the while helping Jem Hepworth stay in fourth position. So yeah, not the most experienced driver in the grid, but doing a fantastic job here.
to the chicane. They come, and big dive by Benjamin Lariche, and in the end, he has to be given room by Panciatici, who then sprints back up the inside and says, oh no you don't, because I've got the inside line. And look what's next. Eric Evans, reigning British GT4 champion, he gets in on the act as well, and instead of the Audi going up one, it's down one. The Mustang terrorising it out of the way, into La Source. Now Eric Evans is on the outside line. The trim flapping Audi on the inside, constantly giving that car to Lariche in an okay position. Lariche having to get it by the scruff of the neck. Well, he's got the place back, but for how much longer can he stay there? Because Eric Evans is really going well.
Yeah, there's a bit of Audi sheds itself there coming into Eau Rouge. That'll be handy. A couple of grams saved there, so it should give them more straight line speed. But I think Benjamin Lariche will be relatively okay with, even though he didn't get the job done on Panciatici, he's been able to close now. And I think if he's got the straight line speed, he can get a move done into Le Combe.
And all of this helping, in theory, Berke Besler. He won't get his podium at the moment because he will be 1 second behind Jem Hepworth, but he might be able to extend that just by the end of the race. He's not going to be there yet, but the race ain't done yet because there's time for at least one more lap after this. And this fight between Panciatici and Lariche and Eric Evans is delaying all three of them, and a bit of a mistake by Lariche. He wobbles out wide. Mustang gets through, and that's also going to give now Jagish Gedik's blue BMW a chance to challenge as well.
Yeah, it's a shame there because Benjamin Lariche looks so fast. He'll be so frustrated with himself to have that little wobble through the downhill right-hander at Brussels. However, he can get back on with it. He's only dropped down to P7, so it's still not a bad weekend, even if they were to finish here. But I don't think they will. I think there'll still be another twist in the tail, as always is with GT4.
Finn Zulauf with Max Kronberg leading in Pro-Am. There is the Porsche in question from the W&S Motorsport stable, trying to get around the outside of number 19 there, which is the Forzetti Motorsport Aston Miller driven Aston Martin. Aston Miller that we've seen in the McLaren Trophy races as well as doing GT4 duty this weekend. And in Am, 'twas ever thus. Pascal Houteau has replaced Laurent Hergon, but no one has replaced them in the class lead position. So 1 minute and 50 seconds are on the clock. That's the Am leading Alpine, being dwarfed by the Meloni family BMW. Davide Meloni out the wheel of that car. And the race leader is going to be on the last lap this time because a flying lap is a 2:29. So when he crosses the beam, and he's about to, that will put Josh Rattigan onto the last lap of the race. There he is. Now look at Berke Besler behind. Has he at the end of this lap cleared 5 seconds to put him into third place rather than drop lower? Clock ticks. Through goes Besler. Through goes Lessem. Jem Hepworth breaks the beam. Yes, 7.5 seconds back. So now Berke Besler is in the top three. And look at this, the two Porsches getting together, coming over the line. The Brichet car in the grey, the Allied Racing car of Nureddini on the inside line goes through. Herolin Nureddini makes the place. It's a lively race, this right to the end.
It certainly is. Typical GT4 fashion. We've got cars all the way down the grid, racing so hard. As you see the two Porsches, obviously the exact same car, but looks like he's got the overlap into Eau Rouge, got the job done, and a really nice move there.
At the back of that little group behind the Porsche, you've got Greg Gilbert in Anthony Depard's BMW, and then Davide Meloni behind him. Here comes Greg Gilbert to the outside line. How many Porsches can you pick off? That's Lariche rather, back on the inside to put himself ahead again of Eric Evans. So the two of them, the Audi and the Mustang, trading places. Look at the way Jagish Gedik's going in that BMW, trying to force a mistake out of the Mustang. They come now out of Le Combe down towards Bruxelles, and the gap coming right down between the BMW and the Ford ahead of it.
I think Benjamin Lariche now, if he can get his head down, even though we're coming towards the end of this race, can even have one more crack at Nelson Panciatici here, because that Panciatici car is so fast in the middle sector, and I keep banging on about how fast that Audi is in that straight line. I think he might have one more opportunity to try and get some redemption of what failed for him at the bus stop final chicane.
And that's brave. Jagish Gedik trying to squeeze up the inside of the Mustang. Couldn't quite do it. The Mustang had a better run out of the corner. Stays ahead as they break now for the pith path. Absolutely nose to tail, but the Mustang maybe a bit deeper. Hard to gauge, really, because so much curb was taken by the BMW. It distorts the image a little bit, doesn't it? Right there behind them as well is now the Aston Martin. That's charging along, that car getting closer and closer to the pace all the time. Hugo Sasser at the wheel of it. 9th place it runs, and we're on the last lap. So it is absolutely going to go down to the wire. Very different kind of a race from yesterday. Action all the way. but a double, the first double winners of the season, and to do the double on the same weekend, that's not easy anymore in GT4 European Series. It will go to McLaren, Elite Motorsport, to Josh Rattican, to Tom Levin, checkered flag at the ready. Josh Rattican brings it home at Spa for 2 wins out of the 2 races in GT4 European Series. Second will be Benjamin Lecen and Ricardo van der Ende. And third should be Beke Bessler and Gabriele Piana. Jagish Gadik's sister car having problems as it comes across the line. Look at that, broken wheel, broken suspension. It's got to the line, but only just.
Yeah, it tries to go for a really niche move down the inside of the final corner. Got squeezed, went up the curb, hit the car, and then looks like it's broke the front right suspension, all wheel. Regardless, he has been able to limp over and stay in P8. But yeah, I guess as long as you can get to the finish line, it doesn't matter what kind of form you're in.
Well, at least they finished, got the points, but it's been a bruising weekend for that team. Drama right the way to the very end. Penalties will be applied and we'll get a confirmed result in due course. 81 in the end, 4th for Jem Hepworth and Cameron Lawrence. Fair play.
Very good job, yeah. And just want to say a big shout out to Jem Hepworth at the end there. Doing a fantastic job because she didn't have it all so easy at the end when the cars were passing her. To stay to 4th, that'll be a great result for RAFA Racing Club and a really confidence builder as well for Jem Hepworth to know that she can race in that top 5 and hold her own.
Absolutely right. Yeah, no, really good effort because she's not the most experienced of drivers. Jem Hepworth, only been racing for 2 or 3 seasons, so good work done. So in front of a large crowd here, and it's getting bigger all the time as we draw closer to the 24 Hours of Spa, the CrowdStrike back race this year. The drivers making their way on their in-lap, a chance to go offline, get a bit of pick-up to help with the weight of the car and the ride height for the scrutineering checks. And after a frantic hour, I know I say this regularly, but it would be lovely to see the GT4 European Series as a headline race at one point, or maybe an even longer race, because it's a brilliant championship. You know, the quality of driver, quality of team, quality of racing, it's all top dollar.
It really is, yeah, and I would love to see an endurance race with this. In British GT, we sometimes, or quite regularly nowadays, have a 1 3-hour race on the weekend rather than 2 1-hour races. So that for me would be really exciting to see. I just think these drivers give so much action all the way up and down the field. It really is the GT4 Championship to be in at the moment. And a big shout out as well to the Forsetti Racing number 19 Aston Martin. They finished in P11 from starting 29th there. Aston Miller coming over the line doing a good job. So good shout out to those guys. 20 positions gained there. So very impressive.
Yeah, there was talk, wasn't there, last year of a 6-hour GT4 race, but the competitor support either came too late or didn't come, and the idea was shelved. But it would be nice to recreate that idea, or as you say, have an endurance race of some description. Having said that, the 1-hour races work really well. From our point of view, maybe drivers would like a bit more track time, but from a pure race point of view, an hour is brilliant. There is Laurent Hergon and Pascal Houteau taking their 5th win out of 6 races, so it's been a really good season. And with the main opposition, Florent Grisot, crashing out on lap 1, their task was eased somewhat. An incident involving number 11, yes, Jagish Gadik in turn 19 at the very end. That's under investigation. So we saw the outcome of that, but the incident is being looked at as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hurto as well, just to reiterate what you were saying before, what a fantastic job to get another AM victory, to be P17 overall. Is so impressive. You know, these 2 bronze graded drivers just doing such a good job. As we see, the Beke Bessler time penalty has been applied, drops him down to P3, only 1.6 seconds ahead of Jem Hepworth there. So interesting, she could have been so close to a podium there. Unfortunately, just dropped away as the penalties are being applied now, aren't they?
Indeed so, but the stewards will no doubt have a few more things to look at, and Jagish Gadik's BMW in the end came over the line, or most of it came over the line in 6th place, but that's going to be reviewed. The drone still busy and following the pack on the in-lap towards Parc Fermé, so the GT4 car's getting a full in-lap. And as they do so, Josh Rattican and Tom Levin doing something that's not been done this year, winning both races of the weekend. They are the people that win in silver for the first time, if you see what I mean. They are the first crew to have taken more than 1 win, and a really good race in which to do it. Mixed fortunes for the Benjamin Lariche Robert Consony Audi crew. That car dropping to 16th place in the end. But we'll confirm as best we can the result, which looks like this. Josh Rattigan and Tom Levin, the winners from Benjamin-Lessen, and Ricardo van der Ende. Berke Beschler and Gabriele Piana in third. Jem Hepworth and Cameron Lawrence fourth, ahead of Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti. Jagish Gaelic crossed the line sixth after Pedro Ibrahim started. The winning Pro-Am in the end, going the way not of the Zulauf Kronberg Porsche, but of Greg Gilbert and Anthony de Barn, ahead of the Malonis, and then third, Victor Bouveng and Joachim Balder. No question about the AMs, that was won by Pascal Houteau and Laurent Hergon in 15th place overall. The second AM entry will be Jean-Paul Dominici and his co-driver this weekend being Jean-Mathieu Leandri. And then third AM crew home will be the team speed car, Julien Ripper, Philippe Talemy, Audi R8. But Josh Rattigan and Tom Levin, top work done. Not an easy race at all, but a really impressive job with the Elite Motorsport with entire race engineering entry. 2 out of 2 here at Spa. So cars making their way down the pit lane, and Josh Rattigan and Tom Levin are race winners. Antonia Rankin is down in the pit lane. She can have a word with what you might term the very happy couple.
Tom, Josh, you really had to get your elbows out for that. There were some great battles going on, especially in stint 2.
Yeah, well, the second Tom got back to first place, I knew that was it. We just had to keep it there and push. The second that full course yellow came out, I was a bit, are we going to get it? But I tried my best and we did it. We did it.
Yeah, with that full course yellow, was it of detriment to you? Did it help?
To be honest, I wouldn't say it helped, but it definitely helped with tyre temps. Obviously, we had the gap to third at the start and then bunched everyone back up, but we definitely had the pace. Car felt absolutely mega, so yeah, it was a good result.
You guys look absolutely mega. Do you think that we'll be able to carry this on for the rest of the season? You look pretty unstoppable right now.
We can only hope. Fingers crossed, we'll see what brings it.
Yep, we'll do our best, definitely.
Well, carry on doing what you're doing. Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
So well done, Josh Rattigan and Tom Levin as our race winners. And the Elite Motorsport team with the McLaren doing a very good job indeed this weekend. That super slow-mo shot shows all the load, doesn't it, going through the chicane. And the Elite Motorsport squad helping themselves in the championship as well. Just a shame that 77 still seems to have problems of its own, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's such a shame. Hopefully we'll see them. I'm sure it won't be long until we see them on the top step of the podium. 2 fantastic drivers in that car. So it won't be long. They'll just have to ride out this bad luck and hope that it changes for the next round when we head into another circuit that will be interesting to see who's got the upper hand in terms of the cars. Lots of straights, lots of corners that will maybe not suit the McLaren as much. So this is why it's so important that when you do have a good car underneath you, you maximize it. And a double win is just the perfect way to do it.
All smiles, Josh Rattigan, and there's probably a very happy winning crew in AM as well, where Laurent Hergon and Pascal Houteau can celebrate success. Let's join them with Antonia once more.
Pascal, Laurent, you have won every race except one this season. You are looking incredible.
Yes, we are very happy because last meeting we washed a wishbone on the race 1, and this time all was perfect. The cars were perfect. Pascal was very good yesterday, today. So I love my first stint today. It was very hard with the other concurrent, but great pleasure, very good pleasure for me, and Pascal did a very great job.
Thanks for the team for the job. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Well done. Go celebrate.
And that Alpine has just looked the class act all season, hasn't it? And the car very well driven. And yes, they keep taking AM wins, but you have to look a long way up the order overall to find it. They punch above their weight as well.
So impressive, yeah. After the penalties have been implied, top 15 there for 2 bronze-graded drivers. So really good to see those two enjoying their racing. And that's the biggest thing for these guys as well. Not only do they get a good result, but they can say how enjoyable that stint was. Even if it's hard work, they just absolutely love it.
So the drivers now making their way to the podium, or podiums, because there's 1 per class. There are still 2 more races to go before we do the build up to the 24 hours. and the fans trackside enjoying the dry weather. It's getting a bit more overcast, I've got to tell you. Let's look at the highlights then of the second GT4 European Series race of the weekend. A good getaway by Tom Leben, putting him into the lead briefly, but then around the outside swooped Robert Consigny, and that looked as though the Audi was going to be the car to beat. But after a very early safety car period, it just did not deliver. Loris Cabarrou bailed for the pit lane early, and into the wall went Florent Grisot's Aston Martin, and that was the end, sadly, of that car's race. That therefore meant, as the Audi dropped down the order, that we had Etienne Shelley into the lead, a third different race leader. Up into second place went Tom Leben. But it really was a race of changing fortunes. The Toyota Supra ended up falling way, way back into 13th place, and here, Gabriele Piana, BMW driver, run off the road. He got a penalty for that. We had another safety car interruption when Guillermo Asso went into the gravel and then was unable to rejoin. For the race lead, though, Josh Rattigan went through, moved himself back up ahead of Enzo Julier in the Toyota and managed to hang on in there as the cars battled their way through the pit window, where there was drama with there being forced into the wall, the car of Mathieu Villa-Gomez, and it all got very leery indeed after that unsafe release from Ruben Del Sart's car. Dramas too for Dexter Patterson, his Lotus going off at high speed, and that triggered another interruption. But through it all, it was 78 McLaren, Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben, who would come through to win GT4 European Series Race 2 of the weekend, having got ahead of Jem Hepwood's car that found itself ahead on that restart. The first team to win twice in silver. They've done the double at Spa, and a great weekend for them. From Charlie Fagg and David Addison here at Spa, goodbye.